This video discusses how to make a graph in Microsoft Excel for college chemistry. The first thing that you need to do is type your data into the software, and I have a sample data set here. My sample data set is looking at weight gain of a pregnant woman. So we're looking at how many weeks pregnant she is and how much weight she gained each week in pounds. What you want to follow when you type your data into Excel is you want to make sure that you put your X variable, your independent variable, on the left-hand side, and your dependent variables, your Y variable, on the right-hand side. That way the software will automatically recognize your data set as being X and Y when you go to plot it. So that's what we're going to do next. The first thing that I want to do is I want to select all of the numbers. I'm only going to select the numbers at this point in time. And I'm coming up to the top here and I'm going to click on the tab that says Insert. The thing that I want to insert is a chart. So I'm coming over to this little icon here with the dots. I'm going to click down on this and I want the first picture here. And what it says is it's a scatter plot. Let me see if I can get that window to show up again. This is an XY scatter plot, which I'm graphing here. What you want to look for is you should only have points here, and you definitely do not want lines connecting the points. The data set, my graph is not complete at this point in time because I want to label my axes, I want to add a chart title, and I also want to add that line of best fit. So let me start with my chart title because the graph here gave me a window here where I can type in the chart title. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to change my chart title. For our class, you can title your graphs however you want. A consistent way that people do chart titles is they title them as Y versus X. So in this case, it would be weight gain versus weeks pregnant. But you could put a different title, whatever makes sense to you in terms of the thing that you're graphing. We also need to label these axes. So I need to put the title and the units for my x-axis and y-axis. To do that, I'm going to go to this icon here that says Add Chart Element. And here I have the option to add axis titles. So I want a horizontal one, and I also want a vertical one. I'm going to click on these boxes and then I can just type in the window there. So my X variable is weeks pregnant. And my Y variable is weight gain. And I'm going to be careful to include those units, which in this case is pounds. Now you can see with this data set that this woman gained weight at a pretty consistent rate. In order to figure out what that rate of weight gain is, we can add a line of best fit. And to do that, I'm going to click on any one of these points so that they're all highlighted. So you can see that there's those little circles around all of my data points. I'm going to right-click here, and in this menu I see the option to add a trend line. So I'm going to add a trend line, and I get options for my trend line on the right-hand side. I definitely want a linear trend line, and we're only going to be looking at linear data sets in this course. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm looking at these three options at the bottom. Some data sets, it's going to make sense to set the intercept as going through 0, 0. In this case, it clearly doesn't make sense because at 0 weeks pregnant, she didn't automatically start gaining weight. So she didn't start gaining weight until she was about 10 weeks pregnant. So it really wouldn't make sense if I was trying to force my line through this 0, 0 point on this graph. Some data sets it is going to make sense to force the line through 0, and you should see that in the procedure for most of your experiments. When do you force it through 0 and when you don't? So you're going to be careful about whether you click this box to set the intercept or not. In this case, I'm not. I want to display the equation of the line of best fit, and I also want to display that R squared value on the chart. The r-squared value tells me how good my line of best fit is. The closer the r-squared value is to 1, the closer your data points are to lying on the line of best fit. So if you have an r-squared of 0.99, that means those data points are very close to my line of best fit. If I had an r-squared value of 1, that means every single data point would be on the line of best fit. Okay, so I'm going to click out of this menu here because I have the things that I want. I have the equation for my line, and I also have that r-squared value. These are the things that you need on your graph for Microsoft Excel. You can go ahead and print this graph and turn it in with your lab report.